What's up, guys? Brian Grant here of ContestChampion.com, and today I have another arena speed test for us all, and this one has to do with masteries. So basically I'm going to do 3 separate tests in this 4-star arena here. You can see that I'm already on an infinite streak here, and actually the first test is already done. It was done in a different speed test video that I did, where it was the same thing. I was, on an infinite streak. I'm going to use the exact same champions as I did in that previous test. I have not leveled up any of those champions that I'm going to be using. I haven't leveled up any new champions that could possibly throw off that test, but I did it with this current mastery setup that you can see on screen here. Now this includes the full, Suicide Masteries, Double Edge, and Liquid Courage. You can see I also have, a pretty standard defensive mastery setup leading up to Willpower and 3 points to Coagulate as well. And then if we go into utilities, this is what I'm packing for utilities. Just an early 12 points to get maxed out Limber, maxed out Parry, and maxed out Stupefy. So for the sake of this test, I'm going to recover all of these points right now, and then I will basically come back with a super beginner set of masteries, and I'll show you what that is in just a moment here. And when I have those beginner masteries, then I will go ahead and run those first 10 rounds that I'll be doing the test here. And then after that, I'll come back with, of course, a more moderate setup, somewhat of an intermediate setup, and then do the 10 rounds again after those same 10 champions have reset their cooldown in arena. So check back with you after I set up the first round of masteries here. Alright, check out this sick mastery build I've got going on here. This is like as bare bones as you can get it. It's just 1 point into Limber, 1 point into Parry, and 1 point into Dexterity. Now I know like the first couple of days that you're playing this game, even maybe the first couple of weeks, you're not going to have these masteries, but you definitely want to pick up these 3 as early as you possibly can. So this first test is just going to have these masteries, as I believe that they're the only 2 really essential masteries to have, Parry and Dexterity, and the points leading up to them. So now I'm going to go ahead and do 10 rounds in the arena, and I'll check back with you after those first 10 rounds are completed. Alright, that first test was kind of brutal, guys. I completely forgot how hard it is to play without having like at least a decent mastery setup. Just having those 3 mastery points alone, this game is so much harder. So yeah, not only did it take a lot longer though, but we'll also get to it's not just about the time, it's also about the points, so I'll calculate all of that later. But I did want to mention a couple of things that I didn't realize until I just did this test. First off, the champions are so much different than what I'm using in the other tests, so that they're not going to be exactly the same. The first 7 teams, it's the first 21 champions, they're the same champions, but they're on like a little bit mixed up different teams. And then the last 3 rounds that I'm doing, the last 9 champions, because of the difference in power index rating, those champions are actually different. They're going to be different for all 3 tests. So this is still a good test. This is not the most scientific test ever done, but it's like a real world test. So in some ways that's even better. The other issue is that I actually died once. And it was with my favorite champion, Rocket, too. I was doing fine, and then I just got clipped by a special from Scarlet Witch, and that was it. That's all she wrote. Rocket was down. So, yeah, the points are going to be a little bit different there, too. But still, I think this is really good, and let me go ahead and set up my next round of masteries here for us. And then we'll calculate all of the points and stuff like that at the end and see exactly how long it would take to hit all of the milestones and all that good stuff that I'll show you guys. I've just finished building my intermediate mastery setup here, and you can see the 3 points in utility, they haven't changed at all. It's still going to be Limber, Parry, and Dexterity, but I've added some in the offense and defense trees. So in offense, I've got the first kind of set here leading up to 5 points in Cruelty and 5 points into Precision, because these are just absolutely amazing masteries to get. Really good masteries to build towards as a newer player. So For the defensive tree, I added a few points into vitality, greater vitality. Mostly just wanted to get to block proficiency here because I do think that this is a very, very strong mastery as well. So this is kind of my intermediate setup. There are lots of different ways to go from here, but this is not meant to be a mastery guide. This is just a testing guide, or a testing video, not even a testing guide. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back into Arena. I'm going to put in 10 more rounds. And, you know, we'll see where that leaves us as far as points earned, how fast I can get through those rounds, how fast I can collect those points. And then I will move on after that to the spreadsheet breakdown for all of us. So, should be interesting, guys. Check back in just a moment. Alright, so I finished my last round of testing here, and you guys can see there was a significant time savings, and it just felt so much better to have a decent mastery setup going, too. I did mess up a couple of times, though, and I actually lost again with my buddy Rocket, which is crazy because you know, I haven't lost an arena match with him in such a long time. They're usually the fastest matches out of everyone, but this is why I don't bring Rocket onto the most difficult quests, even though he's my favorite. Every once in a while, you just mess up, and that's it. He's done, right? Still my favorite though. Even after a couple losses here, still gonna be my favorite. And I lost a second time as well, so I'm gonna have to do some point correcting in the end here. But let's just go to that spreadsheet right now, because this isn't just about time. This is also about points. So let's go ahead and change this to the spreadsheet that I have made here for us. And so you can see I have 3 different mastery setups here: the beginner, the intermediate, and the end game one. The end game one being the suicide masteries, basically. And you can see the amount of points I was able to gain. It was a pretty huge difference as well. So about 195,000 versus just under 200,000 versus just under 250,000 for the different setups. Now I corrected here in parentheses an approximate. If I didn't lose those matches, it would be about 200,000 versus 210,000 versus you know, about 250. So still quite a huge difference overall. But the time savings as well is another colossal difference here. You can see I saved about 4 minutes changing from the beginner master setup to you know, the intermediate one that has like some decent masteries going on in there, and then yeah, the full suicide masteries, I just flew right through it. Now, of course, you're not going to be on any one of these 3, right? This is just for testing purposes. It's very likely that you'll have something similar to the intermediate one, and then some extra points thrown in, you know, for leveling up. That's what I would recommend early on. Of course, if you have been playing this game for a very long time, then I definitely do recommend the full suicide mastery setup. It's actually not that many units to switch between different builds, so if you don't like having recoil, for example, I wouldn't recommend, you know, having recoil at all times or anything like that if you don't like it. But to switch to it to you know, just to grind out a basic champion or something like that, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, guys. It might be worth it for you. At the same time, it's not completely necessary, so that's kind of up to you. But all right, let's break this down further. Let's get to points per second here. You can see is about 121 points per second for the beginner mastery setup, and I corrected that if I didn't lose at all to about 124. Same thing for the intermediate. It was 146 with what I tested, and I'm including my 2 losses. But if I didn't lose a single fight, it'd be about 154. And then the full suicide mastery was 242. So huge differences. If we compare that to the time it would take to get all of the milestones, it'd be about 206 minutes or 201 if I didn't lose a single fight. And then over here, realistically, it's closer to about 211, including the first few fights where you don't have a score multiplier. I just added on those 5 minutes as an estimate, like I do in all of these tests. Then the intermediate is about 180 minutes, so just about 3 hours in total. If I didn't lose a fight, if I didn't lose a single fight, it would actually save so much in time in the long run. About, you know, it would cut it down to about 162 minutes in this case, just because, yeah, an extra 12,000 points over you know, the 22 minutes it took to complete. That actually you know, had a significant impact on the amount of points I was able to earn. So there you have it. Like if you lose a fight, It actually does matter, you know, a fair amount, but it's not the end of the world. You know, you're still going to get there if you just put in a little bit more time, right? So for me, including those 2 losses, it would have taken approximately 185 minutes, including the startup time, to get through those first few initial matches. And then, of course, the final test here, which, like, the time savings is almost unreal, just because of how many more points you're getting. I was getting 50,000 more points in a significantly shorter amount of time, and yeah, you guys can see there it's 103 minutes or approximately 108, you know, including the initial startup time. So yeah, the Suicide Masteries, they are extremely powerful. They do have their downsides. You guys, I mean, you know what they are pretty much. It's pretty much recoil. Of course, you know, the other bad parts to it, having let's actually go back to it real quick here. Having Double Edge and Liquid Courage, yeah, those kind of suck too, right? Having that downside, but the benefit outweighs it so much. You can get around these if you really want to. I'm still able to get through Alliance Quest and Alliance War with them. It would probably be better if I didn't have them, to be completely honest. So again, it's kind of a decision that it's up to you guys. But again, these results, they really speak for themselves. It's the time savings is such a big thing, and it might just be worth it for you to flip back and forth between the two every time you want to get a certain champion in the arena. As long as you're not flipping too much, the unit cost is really not that bad. Hey, maybe give it a thumbs up for actually dropping some units to do this test, though, huh? Or not, whatever. Thanks for watching this one, guys. Plenty more testing and other kinds of cool videos coming up pretty soon. Today's Friday, which means tomorrow is the live stream, and yeah, I think I've locked it in at this point. I'm going to start the live stream at around 1 p.m. to do, Road to the Labyrinth. So yeah, I'd appreciate it if a lot of you guys came out to just kind of support me in that, or just ask questions or whatever. Should be a fun day. Gonna do start from finish Road to Labyrinth. And yeah, that's it for this one, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Take care.